sorry about that, guys. I'm feeling a little bit flimsy all of a sudden. Anyway, yep. We're gonna continue on with Wayward Woods, and then we're gonna go to the Arid Frontier afterwards. Anyway, how have y'all been doing this week? I've been pretty good. You know, I'm enjoying the fact that it's November, you know. I'm looking forward to next week, but at the same time, I'm also apprehensive about Thanksgiving in general. I've talked about the two main reasons. Why, you know, when I during my last playthrough, because you know I was talking about Thanksgiving a lot towards the beginning, because I was telling you guys about the reasons I was so worried, because it was coming up. You know, I started my last LP in November as well. And then I remember I did the 9th episode on Thanksgiving Day. But yeah, one of the reasons I mentioned this doesn't really apply anymore. It was mostly only like last year's Thanksgiving, because my uncle had died like back in I think it was at the end of July. I don't know what day, but I think it was like July 2022. And I was worried about it being depressing, but you know, I'm not as worried about that anymore, since, you know, it was mostly the first Thanksgiving that I was a bit worried, you know. So I'm not really as worried about that anymore, but there are two things that I still worry about. You guys may already know them, because I've talked about them with you guys. One is being forced to pray, and the other is being forced to eat turkey. Thankfully, I haven't been forced to eat turkey since, I think, Thanksgiving 2010 was the last year I was forced to eat turkey. And then when Thanksgiving 2011 was coming up, I told my mom that she was the reason for me hating Thanksgiving. Ooh, she got so mad, but you know why that was? Because she would always force me to eat turkey. You know, during the previous, you know, I'm trying to find the right words, you know, the Thanksgivings or Novembers or whatever preceding that one, you know. I mean, I guess it's normal to be offended over something like that, but at the same time, you don't really have the rights to be offended if it's your fault, you know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, I try not to worry about the turkey bullshit anymore because, like I said, 2010 was the last year I was forced, but I don't know. It's just how my brain works. Sometimes my worries are irrational, you know? Hell, I know my friends Ashton and Green Ethan. I know you guys are with me. You guys also don't like turkey. Purple Ethan, I don't know about you, but me, Ashton, and Green Ethan, yep, it's disgusting. Ashton, like me, he eats ham. You know, I eat ham. He eats ham. I don't know what other Thanksgiving dishes he eats, but my other favorite Thanksgiving dishes I eat besides ham are stuffing and rolls. And when I go over to my grandparents for Christmas Eve, they usually do like something that is called a ham steak and rolls. They usually like, I remember like last year and maybe even like, you know, Christmas Eve 2021. And hell, even like when we actually, and New Year's as well, like New Year's 2023 when we went over there, New Year's Day. You know, even they'll usually do a ham steak for me because like they like to do stuff like prime rib and just things I don't really like. So they'll do like a ham steak for me, and then they'll also do some rolls to, and oh my gosh, it is so good. Ham and rolls, whether it's like regular ham or a ham steak, I don't know, but they just go so good together. They just do. Sorry. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna be eating some ham, some stuffing, and some rolls. Screw turkey. And yeah, I'm also worried about being forced to pray. I mean, as you guys know, I'm an atheist, but my grandparents, you know, they're very forceful with, you know, they take their faith to the extreme. You know, they're the type of people who, you know, try to push religion on others and you know, and say like you're gonna go to hell if you don't believe in like God or Jesus, or if you don't accept them into your life or whatever. You know, it's a mess. So, you know, I'm mostly worried about those two things. Yeah, Ethan, Purple Ethan, I know what you're thinking. Yeah. I'm also not particularly looking forward to the whole Dallas Cowboys chaos, but, you know, at least I don't have to get involved in that. I can just eat and then go to my room and call it a day. I don't have to get involved like I do in the religious rigmarole. You know, I'm definitely gonna be working on my religion book some more because when I'm Because Ashton and Purple Ethan, you guys already know about it, but Green Ethan, in case, I don't know if yeah, you've probably heard about it before, but since I'm actually going to be talking to you in a premiere, I'll talk about it here too. Now, I'm working on a book, that's talking about, that's like highlighting why religion is harmful, or why it can be harmful, and then like better ways to go about it. And yes, like every time I'm forced to pray or whatever, like it makes me just want to continue working on it. And one of the things I'm going to be talking about is, how religion is how people always try to push religion onto others, and how like there's so much manipulation, how people are threatened to hell if they don't believe in God or Jesus, It just causes a lot of stress. Hell, it can even fuck up, like, if you're religious yourself, it can also fuck up your own mental health, not just the people you're trying to convert, if you will. Because I don't know if my grandpa's like this, but my grandma, she's worried that me, my dad, and my brother are not gonna be saved and that we're gonna end up in hell or whatever. Like, she actually literally worries about stuff like that. So yes, I'm definitely gonna be talking about all that mess. And something else that kind of falls under the praying before a meal is, like, you're thanking God, like, you're thanking God, like, for something else someone did, Even if I was religious, I wouldn't thank God for a meal he didn't even give to me. It was like, the people who cooked it, it was like the farmers who, got all the products, People like that. I don't understand why people thank God for something that was cooked by someone else or even themselves. And of course there's the farmers, because, ham and like turkey and then like, mashed potatoes, everything comes from like a farm pretty much, If we didn't have farmers, we wouldn't have like ham and turkey and like stuffing and rolls, because that comes from livestock and from growing crops. I just don't understand it. I don't. Now, I don't mind if people want to be religious. No, that's not, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not necessarily trying to promote atheism with my book. I just want people to be more considerate and more like sensible with their beliefs. It'll be about improving like religion and faith. It's not going to be about like getting rid of it and like promoting atheism, if you catch my drift. If you know what I mean. And yeah, that's something else I don't get, because my dad and my grandparents, they help with the Thanksgiving meals. They my grandparents usually bring home stuffing and I don't know if my dad has ever made a ham on Thanksgiving since we moved to this town, but this year my grandparents are bringing one. But what I do know is is that they've always brought stuffing, and the point is they help with the meals. So it's not only it's not only disrespecting my dad's hard work, but also their own. Why would you thank someone else for something you bust your ass to do? It's like me thanking God because I was able to write a book. No. I only have myself to thank for that. And if I do, get well known, of course, I'll have my fans to thank as well. I do agree that, depending on, the situation, you should, understand the fact that, it's not just you. Now, writing a book in itself, yes, but if I were to also get well known or just whatever, I would also have my fans to thank. Oh God, we're gonna get our first coral. That's where you get your first coral, is the arid. Well, I think you can sometimes get a coral before then if you're unlucky, but that's your first guaranteed coral. It's kind of rare to get a coral before it. It kind of serves as something to introduce you to the corals or whatever. Huh. But yeah, I do understand not being overly proud of yourself, because some accomplishments were also from could also involve other people. But I'm not thanking God for my accomplishments. I'm gonna thank my friends, my family, and my fans. I don't know why, but if I can just see myself, if I do become well known enough as an author, I can just see my grandma going, "It's because of God." Because she's the type of person who believes that good things are just because of God alone. Which, I'm sorry, but that's just not true. And by having those beliefs, you're disregarding other people, You think that everything comes from God, has to come from God, It disregards the fact that, oh God, no pun intended. It disregards the fact that, good things can be because of people as well, not just God. Now, I don't mind if people do believe that to some extent, but as long as you're not forcing other people to have those beliefs, and you also understand that accomplishments or just good just good things can be because of other people and not just solely God. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if I'm having a hard time explaining, but you get what I'm trying to say. But yep, 8 days until Thanksgiving. I'll definitely be talking about it more and more throughout my series. Now, I don't know when my next episode is going to be. I don't mind waiting, you know. I actually don't mind waiting a while between episodes because, oh boy. Because not only do I want this to last, but, you know, it'll also give me, like, it'll also give more time for, like, just stuff in my life to happen that I can update you guys on, you know. I don't want to just, because if I rush through this, then, like, it's gonna be like my life is just stagnant, like, I'm not getting any updates for you guys, you know. The more I take my time with this, the more time I have for, like, things to happen that I can talk to you guys about. So, if I have to skip a week, skip some weeks doing this Let's Play, especially, like, you know, if it's like a holiday week, then so be it, you know. I know. This current episode and, like, you know, last episode, you know, I recorded them on Wednesday, I believe. Both of them on Wednesday, and then actually I might have recorded the last week's on Thursday and premiered it Friday. I don't remember, but yeah, I forgot. You know, but this current episode I'm recording Friday, and then I'll premiere it tomorrow. Ethan said 4 o'clock, which I am assuming he means his time, so. Green Ethan, by the way. So yeah, this will be, by the time this is, like, premiering, like, it's gonna be like 6 o'clock p.m.-ish my time. Time zones can be so confusing. Yeah. If you're in a quarrel with someone and you, like, give a jolly jaunt ticket to, like, one of the, like, if you're in a quarrel with someone that's in the same, like, room, then yeah, they'll just get sold, huh? But yeah, actually, yeah, I think last episode was actually recorded on Thursday now and premiered on Friday, now that I remember, because I remember eating Popeyes, well, not too long after it was premiering. But I don't know, I could be thinking of the week before that. Where I was eating KFC as it was premiering. I don't know. I don't quite remember exactly. But yeah. The point is, I don't know when the next episode is gonna be because it is gonna be Thanksgiving week. I remember last year I recorded one on Thanksgiving, but I prefer to record them like the night before they premiere. You know, I think that's my best bet. So I probably won't record it on Thanksgiving unless Green Ethan is available for a premiere like the day after. But you know, the first episode that I will record and premiere after Thanksgiving, you know, I will talk about how my Thanksgiving was and just how things have been for me since the last episode, you know, the time in between those two episodes. Maybe this will help with the coral. Oh, are you kidding me? Seriously? I was trying to get the coral down. Oh, but yeah, I do have some pretty good news to well, not necessarily good news, but just a good, nice, reassuring update. You know, my dad, you know, my dad told me that he is, you know, we're still working on getting my guardianship paperwork filled out, you know. I think he's waiting for like the physical aspects to get filled out. Stop fighting, children. But yeah, my dad told me that yesterday, you know. He actually talked to the nurse. I think it was one of the nurses that works at the doctor's office I've been going to. I guess she works under my doctor. I'm not 100% sure. Mm-hmm. But like he told me that like, you know, that he was trying to like, you know, he recently talked to the nurse that works with my doctor and that they're working on getting the paperwork filled out. You know, my dad said it just takes a while. It can take a while to get like a guardianship and a disability paperwork filled out. Because some people like fake the disability aspects, so they want to take their time and make sure everything is kosher, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then like, my dad told me that like, that it will get done. Like they are working on it. It's just gonna take time. And my dad even said that like if she can call him all they want, he doesn't care. He just wants it to get done. And then he'll take me to the psychiatrist. At first, he was gonna go ahead and take me to the psychiatrist. But he decided that it was better to, get the other part of the paperwork filled out. Then he'll take me to the psychiatrist. That way we don't have to do any more waiting around for the rest of the paperwork to be filled out. We can just move on to the next thing we need to do. I think from what my dad said, I think he's gonna, take it to the lawyer. He'll take it to the lawyer. Is probably what's gonna happen next. But yeah, it's probably for the best because, once we get the, doing the waiting around before we go see the psychiatrist, that way it's already done and over with after the psychiatrist, the mental evaluation is said and done. You don't have to do any more waiting around. We can just move on to the next thing. Which, like I said, I believe is him taking the papers to the lawyers. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the guardianship hearing. I have a feeling just my dad will go, if they even have one. I'm still learning about how all this stuff works. And that's exactly why I actually want to take my time with this. That way I can talk you guys all through this stuff and continue giving you guys updates. I don't just have to say the same stuff. Oh, I'm about to see a psychiatrist. Oh, I'm about to see a psychiatrist. Oh, I'm about to see a psychiatrist, I can actually give updates because there's going to be more time for stuff to happen because the more the more few and far between I do these, sparse, I think is the word. I don't know, but the more I take my time with this LP, the more time I'll have for all that stuff to happen. This was over. I mean, maybe not over, but actually probably a little over a year ago now. Or at least almost to that point. My dad told me that I'll probably start getting into my programs. Which at that time he said 1.5 to 2 years. So I could start my programs maybe probably late next year, or maybe even the year after in 2025, because you know it's a process to get like all this stuff done and whatnot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into those programs. Obviously, I'm still gonna like work on my books, but I also want to get into my programs. That way, it'll give me stuff to go do. I'll have a schedule. Like I'll have like in-person friends, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I do have in-person friends. Like I when I was like living in Orange Grove, but like but we all went our separate ways, so it's hard. It's very hard to keep in contact with them. Yay! Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into these programs. That way, I can have like in-person local friends. I'll have stuff to go do. I'll have like a schedule. I'll have stuff to keep me occupied. Thank God. That's one. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things about school that I didn't particularly like, and that I'm glad I don't have to deal with anymore. But there's also things I miss about school. I want to go and do things again and be around people that I can potentially be friends with. I definitely miss those aspects of school. I can't help but feel a bit left out and envious when my online friends and just people in general really talk about like just current updates going on with their in-person friends. Don't get me wrong, it's not because I think I should be the only one friends with them. That's not don't worry guys, that's not the issue. It's just that I'm still waiting for that point again. I'm still waiting to get to that point in my life again, where I have like local friends that I can hang out with and all that stuff. I just feel a bit left out in that regard because I'm still waiting for that point. So don't worry, it has nothing to do with the fact that I think I should be the only one friends with my online friends. Don't worry, I'm not that type of person. I mean, I can be a very envious person, but not to that point. Don't worry. Now, once I get into my programs and then like I start hanging out with like some people and then I start making some like friends in there, things will be a lot different. Oh boy. Excuse me. But yeah, you guys may have noticed this about me, but I'm a very future oriented person, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm always thinking about the future and how they and just thinking about how my ideal future is. I don't know. I'm I'm just like that, okay? I don't know. This is hell. He's not helping. Oh god. I didn't even know she had resurrection yet. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work. Yep, see? Only the Giga resurrection is guaranteed. But yeah. You know, I don't know about Green Ethan. For Green Ethan, I think he's a bit mixed, but like me, Ashton, and Purple Ethan, we are extremely ready to. Get our own place. There we go. Green Ethan, I don't think he's gonna move like straight into like an apartment or whatnot. I think he's gonna go to college first and then get his own place. But at least he'll be with he'll still have like freedom. I also hope he's able to like get his own room or his own dormitory. That way he'll have like, I mean, he'll still be busy with like, you know, college and stuff, but he won't have to worry about like, he'll have like more room and just like more freedom to do live streams and whatnot. He'll probably do them about like every week, maybe every couple of weeks. But yeah. Oh yeah, Ashton is planning on going to college. I think he's going to go to college for animation. He may also take like a physics class because, you know, his number 2 dream job is being an astronomer. So I I don't know, cuz he may go to a trade school that's like, cuz he may go to a school that like focuses on one vein. Because there are schools like that like focused like on one vein or like a few veins under like a certain umbrella. For example, his number 1 dream job is to be an animator, so he'll probably go into like an animation school or like an art school or something like that. and he plans to room with his best friend in real life. Well, that may not happen because, like, who knows, like, he may, like, have his own path, like, or in his own plans, and, like, he may go to, like, a different college, but from what Ashton has talked about, those are, like, his plans. And then, like, you know, Green Ethan plans to go to college. Me and Purple Ethan, we're not going to go to college, but Purple Ethan wants to be like a fighter pilot. He's actually in day programs himself. I don't know how long he's gonna be going to them, but if he's gonna be moving into a different town, like when he lives on his own, and if he does get to become a fighter pilot, you know, it's probably not a good idea to continue going, because, yeah, that's going to be a lot to juggle, especially if you have to have a long drive all the way over to the day program facility. So my recommendation for him is to just go until he can, like, move to the town of his choice. He's not sure which town he wants to move. Like, you know, he's talked about Delaware because he used to live in Delaware before moving to Kansas, and you know, he really misses Delaware, but I think he also said that another town he would like to move to possibly is New York City. He also said Corpus Christi could be a plan, as well as, like, California. I forgot what town, but I think it was either Los Angeles or San Francisco. And then there's me, you know, I'm going to be getting into some programs a year or two down the road, and like I've talked about a bajillion times, you know, I want to write informative and self-help books. I know my dad is very iffy about me moving to my own place eventually, but, like, you know, I think he somewhat understands. He even had a talk with me about it, like, I think it was the day after we came back from the South Padre Island vacation, that he'll help me over the years to get independent enough. Hell, my dad told me that, I don't know how often this will be, but he said that, like, the government is gonna, like, come into our house occasionally, and then, like, I guess inspect my room and just different parts of the house to see if I'm doing good enough to eventually be free or whatever. Like, he said something like that. Because I do want to be free eventually. I mean, I'm not gonna, like, rush it, but I do want to eventually live on my own. That way, me and my dad don't have to get involved in each other's rigmarole anymore. Hell, I remember when, like, this was after our South Padre Island vacation, but what had happened was we passed through Orange Grove, which was the town me and my brother grew up in. And my dad made us stop at the store just so my brother could go in and bullshit with his friends. Like, I thought that was really, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk shit about my dad, but I thought that was really stupid. You're only supposed to stop at a store, like, to buy something. And of course, if you have to go to the bathroom, you know, some people don't even, some people think it's rude to stop at a store, like, just to go to the bathroom, but I don't agree with that. You know, because, you know, you don't know a person's situation. You know, they could have a hard time holding it in, and they could have, like, been on the road for a while. So yes, I do think, like, even if you don't have to buy something, or even if you're not planning to buy something, I do think having, like, you know, using a store bathroom is a valid reason to stop at a store. But not just so you can bullshit with one of your friends if they're, like, a worker or whatever. You know, that's just silly in my opinion, and not silly in a good way, it's silly in, like, a negative way. I also remember another stupid reason we stopped at a store, and that was just because it was raining. I don't know, I think my dad has a thing, I wouldn't say an obsession, but just a thing for stopping at stores for no reason. Like I said, the only two reasons I think people should be stopping at stores is if number one, of course, if, like, they have to buy something, obviously, and then, like, number two, if they have to go to the bathroom. Hell, some people don't even agree with the bathroom being a valid reason. They think that you should have to buy something just if you have to go to the bathroom. No, I don't agree with that. That's kind of insensitive in my opinion. But stopping it at a store just so you or your son can bullshit with one of the workers, yeah, that's just ridiculous. All right. We got quite a bit of friendship from that. That's good. Anyway, yeah, I don't have to deal with that anymore. I can do things that you know, I can do whatever I want when I want, and I can do things, like, according to, like, when I want to do them, according to my schedule. You know, I don't have to follow my dad's schedule. I can follow my own schedule. Thank God. Hell. Another thing that I'm gonna be avoiding are vacations. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, I've talked about it with you guys, especially you, Ashton. I'm definitely open to, like, you know, seeing like what it's like to take vacations with friends, but family vacations, yeah, it's safe to say that I'm gonna be trying to avoid them because they can just be annoying as hell. Annoying as fuck. Vacations with friends, on the other hand, yeah. That is a lot more doable in my opinion. Because you don't have to like stick to someone else's schedule. You can guys and have to worry about like nagging. You guys can just have fun. Now I'll still have gatherings with my family as long as no bullshit happens, but vacations, yep, count me out. Oh boy. Oh, at least we have, oh. Come on, Sky. Or, yeah, Sky. I thought we were gonna get the horse to intervene, but nope. Seriously? Why do these two always fight? Ethan wrote them fighting over cherry blossoms and stars as a joke, but now they won't stop. Alright, we're all at level 9. I wish I could unlock the banana fritter skill. I love that one. Explosion. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm hoping it should be interesting. My dad also says he's planning to do an enchilada, doing some some enchiladas without cheese on that sometime during the Thanksgiving break, which I hope he remains to that because it's so good. It's one of those good meals that we don't really have very often because, it's a lot of work. So he only does it like once or twice a year. Like the last time we had them was during the winter, like Christmas break. So it's been almost a year. And I also hope we eat out some. Even if we're not going to a restaurant, even if we're just getting food from somewhere, I want to do some of that as well. Seriously? Although my Thanksgiving, well, I don't know if I would say it was like a break for me, because like I don't even like have work or school or college to go to, but you know, it was, that week was a little bit of a mixed bag for me because I was stressing about rigmarole with my mom. Thankfully, it should be a lot better. That, this Thanksgiving week should be a lot, Thanksgiving week of this year should be a lot better. But I do remember some good things happening on the Monday before Thanksgiving. That helps me to feel a little bit better. I was still feeling stressed, but not as much. So yeah, and like I said, hopefully we'll eat out some this, next week because my dad will be off. He'll cook some, but he should like take some time just to get food, or have my brother get DoorDash at least. So I'm hoping that will happen. All right, let's go back. I went the other way so we can get the treasure chest, but we're going to go through the actual story progression path now. This time we're not going to go. Anyway, yeah, I hope you guys can hear me, by the way. Sometimes I film from like a distance, so it kind of makes it echoey and not as audible. But I've been like watching my premieres with you guys, and I can hear myself just fine. But yeah, I cannot freaking wait until I get to see the psychiatrist. It'll give me answers. People have a lot of misconceptions about mental disorders, and they can even be overlooked in certain aspects. People think that you can just control the way you feel. People think that you have to have like a traumatic or shitty life to have like mental disorders, when those things just are not true. Another thing is like, people expect everyone with like a disorder to act the same. And that's also something that's very overlooked, A lot of people don't understand that people deal with disorders differently. For example, I'm like, of course, autism spectrum disorder, that's one of the biggest examples because it is like a spectrum and there's a lot more to it. But this also can also apply to things like ADHD and OCD. people think you have to have like all the symptoms and that you have to have like a valid reason for you to be diagnosed with it or whatever, but that's not true. This is, sometimes people's mental health can be overlooked and disregarded because of misconceptions like these. Mother and son. But yeah, that's why those are some of the reasons why mental health can be overlooked, is because like there's all these misconceptions about it. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to have this, you have to have that. I don't think you have to necessarily like have all the symptoms to qualify for a diagnosis, because sometimes people deal with symptoms that other people don't deal with, and vice versa. It's people deal with mental disorders differently. No two people with a particular mental disorder are exactly the same. And I've talked about this with Purple Ethan and Ashton. Green Ethan, I don't know if I've told you this yet, but I do want to write a book about mental health, because people have like misconceptions about it, and not only that, but I want to try to help people manage their mental health in a good way. Oh boy. And as for the topic of self-diagnosis, honestly, I don't think it's a black and white issue. Now, don't get me wrong, self-diagnosis can be extremely harmful. But at the same time, I do think what I do support is doing research and finding out like which symptoms correspond to the ones you display. I do think it can be good to do research and seeing, like, if you think that you could like have a certain disorder. I do think it can be good to like do research on it and to see which symptoms that you relate to. Now, like, if you're just self-diagnosing for attention or like clout, yeah, that's shitty. But if you're like doing proper research and like, you like, I do think it is okay to say like things like, oh, I think I have this disorder. I'll admit I've looked into certain disorders I could have myself. I wouldn't like actually self-diagnose, but I do think it's okay to say something along the lines of, oh, I think I could have this disorder. I would never like say, oh, I do have this disorder, but I do think it's okay to at least say, I think I do, if you're doing proper research and self-assessment. But yeah, I know a lot of people have like mixed feelings when it comes, like, you know, there's all this mixed opinions and like, you know, about self-diagnosis, but so I just kind of wanted to put that out there. Hell, I've talked about it with Ashton before, and we're pretty much on the same page. Because me and Ashton have the same brain. I hate the freaking spite status effect. I hate it so much. They keep spiting you, so the enemy defeats, like, gets stalled or whatever. I'll admit though, I do like the animation it makes when it does like do the spike thing. I just hate the actual status effect itself. But the animation preceding, you know, when the imp gives it to you, I'll admit is pretty badass. But yeah, that's the overall message I want to spread with my books, you know. I just want people to be more considerate and aware when it comes to other people's situations and whatnot. You know, people don't seem to like take into consideration, you know, that people don't think about like what type of situation a person is in. So they just make all these judgments and assumptions that aren't true. You know, I want to help people be more considerate and aware, and to like think about the fact that a person could be in like a certain situation that you don't know about. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm about to end this episode off because I'm running out of stuff to talk about. Plus, we're getting into an hour and 15 minutes, and you know, I think an hour and 15 minutes is a good like length to do these. You know, if I make these like too long, you know, they're gonna take forever to upload. Plus, you know, it's gonna cause it to end earlier on. So yeah, I'll end it off right here, guys. You know, when we pick off next time, we're gonna like start it off with like, you know, Nightmare Tower. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Boy.